Hey, it's Shel Anderson from Shel's Creative Corner and Shel Anderson Designs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. I blog at shelscreativecorner.blogspot.com. My website and online store are located at shelanderson.stampinup.net. I would like to thank you for joining me today as we spend a few minutes together crafting. Today I was lacking in creative inspiration, and I decided that, we have lots of tools available to us to inspire us, and one of those tools is our catalogs. Our catalogs are filled with tons and tons and tons of ideas for us to case. CASE stands for copy and share everything. Basically, just check out this front cover of this catalog. There's 2, 4, 6 samples right there to inspire us. So I was looking at this and I'm thinking, they're all very beautiful, but I'm really drawn to this card. If you notice this card, it's very different from the rest, being that when you look at the card, all you see is DSP, not the colored or the white cardstock. So this card right here, I'll pull that up so you can get a close-up. This card right here is the one that we are going to be casing today. So I also have a stamp set that I've used very little, and it's called Dressed to Impress. This is the fabulous stamp set located on page, give me a minute, 56 of the spring catalog. It's part of the Dress to Impress bundle that comes with the fabulous dies. These dies make the purses and the tote bags and cut out these images as well. This is the stamp set that we're going to be using today. And I have no sample to go by. Like I said, I'm just going by that picture on the front cover. I'm just going to wing it. And I just pulled some items here that we can use. I've pulled the banner punch. I've pulled the 2 and the 2.5 inch circle punch. I have Lovely Lipstick, Daffodil Delight, Blackberry Bliss, Rich Razzleberry, and Memento Black ink. I've chosen a multitude of colors of sequins, because if you remember on this card there were sequins for embellishment. And I have Whisper White cardstock, and I chose a couple of these patterns from the Best Dressed DSP pack. And I also chose these 2 patterns. I have some Whisper White scraps, Daffodil Delight, and Blackberry Bliss as well. Alright, so we are going to get started. We're going to be making 2 cards today. So I'm going to cut my cardstock in half at 5.5. And then we're going to flip it and score it at 4.25, giving us our 2 card bases. And seeing as the front of the card is completely covered, and once our card is folded, it's going to be 4.25 by 5.5, we have to make our DSP the same. Now, this DSP is, let's just quickly fold the card base here. This DSP is 6 by 6. So if I cut this at 4 1/4, I can do that. But if you remember, back to our sample here, there's a strip going down the side. And my idea is what I'm going to call this a book card. Because the corners are rounded, it reminds me of a book. So when I put this DSP on the front, I'm going to wrap the front and back with this like this. So basically, I'm going to be wasting what I put on here. So I really don't need 4 1/4. If I cut this at 3, and I think this is 3, yeah. If I cut the main piece at 3, and then I put my strip, see what I'm saying? I can save on cardstock and actually get 2 cards out of one 6x6 piece. So I'm going to cut this at 3, save that for another card. By 5 1/2. So that's 3, and our card is 4 1/4. Just make sure I'm getting this right. 3, 4 1/4. So I'm going to do this 3, 4, 4 1/4. I'm going to do this at 2. No, I'm not. I'm going to do this. I'm going to leave this at 3, and I'm just going to score it at 1 1/2, because I'm going to wrap this around the back of the card so it's like a book. And let's not cut it. Let's score it. Okay. So we're going to get started on this first card and see how it works out. We may need to change things up to make sure second one works, because like I said, we're winging it. And I'm just going to put some Tombow on here and adhere this to the front of the card. Okay, so now this piece, oh, I didn't cut that right. Let's bring in this paper trimmer. Where did I put it? Oh, right beside me. This needs to be 5 1/2. Okay. So this is going to wrap around like so. Only I have the wrong piece. That's for the other card. Not too smart, me. All right. And now I cut it instead of scoring it. Have you ever done that, ladies? So our first card is not going to be what I'm calling a book card. It's going to be called a mistake card. But we're still going to get the same effect because I am going to glue this down to the front. Shame to cover up that beautiful floral pattern on the back. Okay. Grab some big scissors and we'll cut off the excess. go. Okay. It's a little uneven to me. So I am just going to put it in here and give it a little haircut. All right. So there's our card base for that one. Pardon me. I need to find a corner rounder. And I have this big baby from days gone by. This is a crocodile. And it does 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch rounding. We're going to go with the 1/2 inch. And there's our book. Okay. So, while I'm in the business, I am going to do the other one. I'm going to bring this in, cut this at 3, put that away for later, and this needs to be 5.5, so turn that off. This needs to be 5.5, and it is. Okay, I think we're good. So let's, ooh, isn't that pretty? Love it, love it, love it. So I don't know where you all are, but I'm in Winnipeg. And today is Saturday, May the 2nd, and it is a cold and blustery day in Winnipeg. Perfect day for being in the craft room. And even better, I'm all by myself. Hubby had to go into work today, well, just for a part day. So I have total peace and quiet. I did some cleaning earlier this morning, rearranged my living room, and go. There we are. Okay, so if I rounded this corner and this corner, we would be done with that bad boy. So now we can set those card bases aside and get into some stamping. Now, as you can tell, I'm copying the card that's on the front of that catalog, but I'm copying the design. I'm not copying everything. I'm not using the Poppy stamp set. I'm doing my own thing. That was just my inspiration. So for this card here, I am going to find another piece of paper because, as you can see, I made that flat. The only way I could get away with that is if I put it sideways along the seam, and I think I might do that just to save the paper. And for this card, I would like to put the greeting, "Be as bold as your lipstick." I am going to pull out my Stamparatus and load this up. Okay, and I'm going to be cutting this greeting out of a 2-inch circle, so I want to make sure I'm in a bit. Now, I want to talk to you about Blackberry Bliss ink. I find when you stamp Blackberry Bliss ink, it's super, super dark. It's almost black. And I don't particularly like that. I like it to coordinate more. So I'm going to try something here. I'm going to stamp it in a color that's close, but is not actually that color. I am stamping it in Rich Razzleberry. And when I stamp Rich Razzleberry twice, as you can see, it matches the cardstock. If I had done it in the Blackberry Bliss, it would be super, super dark. And we don't want it super dark. Okay, so that's just a little tip for you. So I'm going to punch that guy out. And we're going to do this differently because I have this, oops, I'm using a sanding block to clean up the edges here a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to adhere that, still have a little, here we go. Better. All right, I'm going to adhere this to the front of the card, making sure I get that little flat edge along the edge of the card. And this worked out perfect because you can still see the blackberry, the 3 lipstick tubes with blackberry. And then I'm going to pop this guy on here. I'm going to pull that up close so you can see how well that razzleberry matches the blackberry cardstock. Okay, now let's get this stamp cleaned. And we'll set that out of the way for now. Now we're going to go on to the perfume bottles, and I'm going to use this scrap of Whisper White cardstock. Oh, heavens, half blind this morning apparently. And I'm going to stamp Happy Mother's Day. And I am going to use the black ink. I think we've fixed our problem with the camera. We've got it, remember last week we had the issue that every time I inked my stamp pad or moved the table, it was jiggling the camera. It was driving me crazy. So we've got the camera mount loaded way up high, which is another issue in itself, but it works better. It's not jiggling the video. All right. So I'm going to try something here. I'm going to do this and this. Get rid of all this scrap. And now I'm going to pull in this banner punch and flip this over. I'm going to flag both ends of this. I could do the same thing with my scissors, but it wouldn't be near as nice. So how wide is that? That's about 3/4 of an inch. Let's go up to 1 1/4. No, let's go to 1. Alright, let's see what we have here. A little big. We're gonna take a little bit more off. Alright, I'm happy with that. So there's a little tag for that. Alright, let's get some of this stuff out of the way. Do you guys do that? Do you work yourself into a corner that you can't get out of? I seem to do that a lot. Okay, so now, just for a little embellishment, I thought I would stamp the perfume and the lipstick, and we will give them a quick color and use them as embellishments on our card. Alright, let's pick those stamps up and get them inked up with Memento. I have a squeaky chair. I don't know whether you can hear that in the video. Alright, get those stamps off, and I'll pull out some Stampin' blends. Okay, so for the lipstick, obviously I want the light blackberry for down here. Don't want to go with the dark blackberry because once again I'm concerned about it going too dark, but perhaps it's not going to be the same with this is light smoky slate. Trying to mimic a silver. Oh. And it looks like I need to add smoky slate to my Stampin' Blends replacement. Okay, that was dark, lovely lipstick. I'm going to come in with the light, blend those in. And that worked good. I'm a little concerned with this one. It doesn't look dark enough to me. So I'm going to pull in the dark one. see if I can get this. Darkened up a bit. I'm just going to do this in steps because now it's still too late. I'm just going to go with the dark. It's always better to err on the side of caution because you can always add more color, but it's very difficult to take it off. And as you can see, I should have had my silicone mat under here. Okay, now for the perfume. What color do I want my perfume bottle? I'm thinking yellow. We'll start out with the light Daffodil Delight. Give this one a whirl. I'm looking at this bottle that's in the paper and trying to kind of mimic what's going on in there a little bit. Give it some shading without, don't know if I want that gray in the middle is the only thing. Maybe I will pull in, let's check. Oh boy, that was light Highland Heather. Let's try light Purple Posy. And that one's too pink for me, for what I want. I'm trying to match. Actually, when the light Purple Posy dries, I think that's the answer. Because as these colors dry, they change color. All right, we have what we have. Let's get these out of the way. And I am going to grab my snips and quickly just around these edges. And I just realized something as I'm cutting these out. I have the dies set for this bundle, and here I am fussy cutting. But as you can see, they are super easy images to fuzzy cut. So we will continue. On the path that we've chosen. All right, almost done here. Okay, let's get this out of the way. And all this punch poop out of the way. And we will bring in our cards and our greetings. First thing I'm going to do is put this greeting together. The less things I have to try to fight with, the better. Okay, so those two pieces are going on that card. And I think I am going to pull this back in, see if I can darken up my lipstick case a bit. I'm really not, it's so different from this. All right, we're going to do a test, ladies. I've never done it before. We're going to try it. If I was to put alcohol ink on a piece of cardstock and then actually bring in a Stampin' Right marker and go over it, what happens? I think I'm going to try it. Wish me luck. Oops. Boy, that cardstock is sure saturated. Okay, maybe it wasn't such a great idea. If you look closely right now, it's really saturated and wet, but it's a little mottled looking. But, and because it's so saturated, it went outside onto the white. And I don't like that, so I'm just going to cut the margins off on the tube so there'll be no white border. That looks better. Yeah. All right, I'm happy with that. Let's grab some dimensionals for the back of this. And we will pop that on that card. And now we have to figure this little one out. Where do I want this banner? I think I'm going to go something like that. And I think I'm going to use dimensionals on the banner. Using up all my edges here. And we'll, oops, not too close to the edge. Pop that on there. I think we're going to use mini dimensionals on this one. Or at least on the top part. Alrighty. And a couple more and we're done. That sheet's done. Now, now we're going to sit this just like so. All right, now for some sequins. I have come out with, I've got gold and silver. I've got two different colors of purple. I don't know, I think this one is a little bright. And this one, I don't know. We have another shade in here too. Well, if I can get them out, we have another shade. What do you think? I don't even know if you can see that. I think any of them would do. I'm going to take this one out of the picture and I'm going to pull those colors in. Actually, I'm not going to go with these. I think these are a little bit too pinky. I'm going to go with all the same. And I just have to figure out where I'm going to put them. Thinking if I put one here, that would look kind of cool. Maybe one here and one in that space there to form my triangle. What do you think? Will it work for us? Let's give it a whirl. Well, slide this around and find me some glue dots. There we go. Oh, didn't even take the glue dot, for heaven's sakes. There we go. 1, 2. I don't have any fingernails, so this is always a struggle for me. I cannot stand long fingernails. I know, you're saying, what? What kind of girl are you? You don't like long fingernails. I've even tried the fake fingernail thing and I just don't like it. Now, I found these green ones and I looked at those green bottles and I thought, you know, that's pretty cool. What do you think? Is it too much? Or should maybe we pull in the pink from here? Definitely not the pink. And I think the silver or gold would be too much. Maybe not. I think I like the gold ones better. Okay. See, you never know till you try. All right, glue dots, glue dots, glue dots. We will put one here and one here and our final one up here. All right, there we have it. What I'm calling our book cards. And here's the sample once again that I was using for inspiration. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed your time here with me today, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.